Hello and welcome to Tov channel. I'm Oded Nir. I'm so happy to be here with you today. And today I have a fantastic guest coming from Manhattan, USA, Dr. Logan Levkov. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm in Israel. How could I not be doing
That's
well?
That's it. I'm going to say a couple of words and then we're going to start directly.
All right.
Okay, thank you. You can join 132,000 subscribers of Channel TV and join and get the finest content early before everybody else. So just click under the line and join our channel. Logan.
Yes.
Let's have that Brooklyn, Long Island accent. Long Island accent.
It takes a lot for the Long Island accent to come out. Too much coffee, too much beer, but you never know.
Let it out. We're having an open conversation here. So Logan, you are actually a doctor and a sexologist.
Yes.
And a therapist in couples and fantastic. That I didn't have yet.
Ah, yes.
Exciting. So you are born and raised in Long Island and then moved to, and now in Manhattan, right?
I've lived in New York City and Lower Manhattan for the last almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Needless to say, I've paid my dues in New York City.
You paid your dues in New York City. How exciting. So you have an unusual job. I think the last famous Jewish sexologist was Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
I served on a panel with her once, and there was really nothing cooler than standing next to someone who was the pioneer of your field. It was a huge honor.
She was a big TV star also in Israel. So I remember as a kid coming on talk shows and Channel 1 when I grew up, and Dr. Ruth Westheimer was a figure.
Totally. I remember one of my most favorite nasty comments someone sent me online, called me a Dollar General Dr. Ruth, as in a cheap version of Dr. Ruth. And I responded, you're right, she was trained as a sniper. I'm only trained to shoot losers online. You're right, she's much cooler than I am. I'm okay with that.
Shooting losers online, I really find it very, very cool. So, you have a very interesting story. You sit on a reality show, right?
I was on the
Which
first
one?
3 seasons of Married at First Sight in America. I was not one of the brides that got married.
What is that show for our audience that doesn't know from Israel?
Married at First Sight is a show where social scientists arrange marriages and couples meet literally when they say, I do.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. It's a lot. I was on on their first 3 seasons in the States, but have had the opportunity to be on lots of television, before then and since then. But needless to say, as a public Zionist, life changes a little bit.
First of all, we have that show in Israel, so
I know.
we need you here. We can jump you into the.
Love it.
That's the way to accept Aliyah. But really, I'm curious, what happened when you say a public Zionist?
So it's interesting. My public life and my public support of Jewry and Israel, it was never hidden from the world. I grew up the granddaughter of an American Zionist leader. My late grandfather, Milton Shapiro, was a national president of JNF USA and ZOA and was involved in every Zionist movement. And I often say, we are Jews, but it was almost as if Zionism was our faith. We knew who we were. So I had been spending time in my labor of love life. I helped to run a program that sends non-Jewish student leaders on college campuses to Israel every year, a program called Caravan for Democracy. We run it through Jewish National Fund. It's an amazing program. And so I was always in the Israel space. But to be honest, no one really cared until, I would say, at the cusp of COVID, all of a sudden, the online anti-Semites came out in full force. Those of us who've done advocacy online publicly identify May of 21 as really the moment when like the floodgates opened and all of the anti-Semites masked as progressive values came out.
Why that date?
It was the last big conflict with Hamas prior to October 7th, but for whatever reason, it was this blip in time where it was almost as if all of these people, particularly in progressive spaces, were given free rein to launch into, you know, what they called anti-Zionism, but as we know is just plain Jew hatred. And so my platform changed and I made a decision it was happening around the same time that my son's progressive independent school, he was dealing with a lot of anti-Semitism.
At school?
At school, long before October 7th.
In Manhattan?
Yeah, in Manhattan. Actually, technically in Riverdale, so almost worse. But yeah, we were dealing with it for years. And I made a decision that if you were going to take me as someone who talks about sex for a living, you were going to have to take all of me, and that included the Zionist part. So, yeah, I've been out as a Zionist for a long time.
Out of the closet.
Out of the closet. Well, I don't think I was ever in the closet as a Zionist. I just think that people didn't bother to look.
Yeah, they're so disappointed when they discovered that Zionism in you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
it is so, right?
It's an interesting thing because on one hand, it's really disappointing that the field I've devoted my life to, sexuality, relationships, all of these really, you know, historically progressive and liberal causes have shown exactly who they were. You know, when I was fighting for everyone's rights and for everyone to be seen and validated, I believed we all supported the same thing. Shame on me for not realizing that there was a limit and that when it came to Jews in Israel, you know, all bets were off. Lesson learned. But the one thing it has done is made me double down, triple down on pride, and ideally modeling for others what it means to be fearless in this space, because if we don't fight for ourselves, no one else is going to fight for us. That's
absolutely true. Nobody really cares. And you know, it should be like that. We shouldn't expect other people to fight our own wars. Why would we expect it anyways, actually?
Well, we shouldn't. And it's not like we don't have plenty of allies. We do, and they stand shoulder to shoulder with us. But, I mean, look, I live in New York City. We know that there is a particularly, I mean, not the majority, but we know there's a big chunk of Jews in Manhattan that voted for the current mayor of Manhattan.
Yeah. We need to put a finger on that.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, no, it is. It's a problem.
It is a problem.
It's a huge problem. So, you know, for me, I sometimes feel like there's this phrase as an American growing up in the 80s. I don't know if you remember like the 80s slasher films, like the horror.
Of course I do. I'm an 80s kid.
Okay, there you go. So I wasn't making any assumptions.
I'm an 80s kid.
By the way.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's this phrase that I use a lot. The call is coming from inside the house. You know, it's that scene in a horror movie where like the babysitter picks up the phone and the killer is like, I'm in the house. Well, guess what? Like if our own enemy often are our own people who are fighting against us, like voting for Mamdani.
Yeah, but let's break it down for a second, okay? Because we in Israel, I came here from Europe after 20 years, so I cannot be presumptuous to say that I understand America.
I'm not sure I understand America right now either.
Yeah, but you're a native American,
yes,
let's say it like that. So if somebody to talk to is you. And I'm trying to understand what makes these Jews vote for somebody who tells them he hates them.
Yeah. I think it's a few things, and I've been given a lot of thought to this over the last few years, because again, Mamdani is just one part of this. This has been happening for a really long time. I think American Jews did a few things painfully wrong. One, we got really comfortable and we started to believe that Israel needed us more than we needed her. Right? That there was this giant void and we were no longer mishpacha, we were just like kind of related. Okay? First huge mistake. Second mistake is that we stopped teaching Jewish peoplehood and solely focused on Judaism as a faith that you practice, but not actually a shared history, right? Really problematic.
Good point, yeah.
You know, and of course, I probably would have remembered the third, but I'm of an age where it just escaped my mind currently.
Yeah.
But it will come back to me in a few
It will
minutes,
come back.
for sure.
From my experience, it does always come back.
It does.
And still at this point.
Oh,
But
I remember. See, I know it was like a delayed thing. And we also, in light of programs like DEI and progressive things that I want to believe came with the best of intentions, but the worst of possible executions. I think we bastardized the concept of tikkun olam, and we started to believe in the States, and maybe in Europe too, who knows, that tikkun olam was the faith, and that now, you know, it was sacrifice yourself at the altar of repairing the world. I don't know, that was always like a really Christian concept to me. It wasn't the Jews were meant to sacrifice themselves to fight for everyone else.
It's not a Jewish
concept. I
concept.
didn't think so, but that's sort of the line that we see across the diaspora is social justice, social justice, social justice.
But let's put a finger on the real problem, which is called wokeism, progressive Jews.
Well, I think, again, part of it is because people weren't raised to understand Jewish peoplehood, right? They were taught to think about Judaism as just an observance, but that social justice was a key tenet of it, instead of understanding all of the things that might have led to that.
But don't you think, let's make it a little bit harder for you. Don't
you
think that, from my point of view, some Jews go and vote for Mamdani because they're trying to save themselves. They're trying to align with the aggressor who hates them, trying to align with the bully in the class who's beating them every morning, and they say, listen, if he's going to like me, he's maybe not going to beat me, he's going to beat the other Jewish kid in the school and not me.
Yes.
Isn't that
so that's Brad Lander.
I don't know the name, I'm sorry.
Brad Lander is the person who just beat Dan Goldman in the primary. A Jew decided to run against another Jew. He used the AIPAC trope. He aligned with Mamdani. He's the guy, the exact person that you're talking about. So I do think, yes, are there a group of Jews that desperately want to be beloved by the people who hate them?
Yeah.
Yes. We call them as a Jews. Because they start every sentence with, as a Jew, I believe, as a Jew. And it's always like something horrible that they would never once said really about them. Yeah. I think that's a part of it. But I do think there's another part of this roughly 30% of people who vote for Mamdani that literally have been beaten down to think that it is their job to give back and that they have to apologize for being a... Now, obviously, Jews are not white oppressors, though the world would like to have
Jews
us
are not
believe
white,
they...
apparently.
Yeah, of course.
Jews are not white.
No.
You know who said that? Adolf Hitler.
Yes, I'm aware.
He's the one who wrote down that I'm not a white person.
Right.
I'm a Semitic person. We cannot look at ourselves as slave owners and all this kind of thing.
But that's the language that American Jews have been taught. And without understanding Jewish peoplehood and those nuances, the idea that Jews are the only group in history who are too white for some and not white enough for others, how do we have a generation of people who know how to fight back? We don't. So what do? They're like, no, I want to be good. I don't want to be a racist. I don't want to be seen as the oppressor. I'm going to apologize for the things that I've been given or have earned. And for me, I did a video last year about why are people so obsessed with us? And if we're going to talk about success, right? Even that trope. Like, let's talk about why Jews have been historically successful in other fields. Perhaps because we've been thrown out or denied access to all the others that we had to create our own. We can embrace that, but we have to tell our story. But oftentimes people are too afraid to tell the story.
No, it's funny. Nobody asked an African American why he's controlling the NBA. You know what I mean? Nobody asked why basketball players are,
No.
Everybody's like, why are Jews control the media and Hollywood and bank? Yeah, we just great at that.
Right. I mean,
I'm just good at it.
I understand.
I cannot dribble, and I'm like I'm not 2 meters high and can dunk. I can do other things.
We don't ask anyone else that. Jews remain the last holdout of a group of people that you can beat down and stereotype. And what I'm constantly afraid of is in a world where we are told, particularly in America, that we're supposed to be good and give ourselves and self-sacrifice, that we're not teaching people, particularly young Jews, to advocate for themselves and to know their history and to say, no, listen, I can hold certain values and believe in rights and equity and all those things, and I can still be proud and know who I am and draw a hard line at Jew hatred. But we have to teach them that.
I think the place to teach them that is the place where it's being taught every day. It's called Israel.
I know you were going to say that.
In Israel, if you just leave the diaspora, you can start eliminating all this Gola mentality, which I object to so much. But that's me. I hope in time it's going to evolve. But that leads me to another question.
Okay.
What are you actually doing right now in Israel then?
So, as you can see from the smile on my face, there is no place I love being in more than Israel. I know. So I'm gonna give you a number, but it's not because I think that I am better. I'm just maybe a little crazier than most people. This is my 14th trip to Israel since October 7th.
Wow.
And there's and again, not because I'm like better, smarter, a better Jew, a better Zionist. It's that as I've hit this interesting middle chapter of my life, I feel the pull to Israel in every fiber of my being. My bones, my fingertips, if it's been too long, I literally feel twitchy, like I need my feet on the ground. I never anticipated ever in my life that I would feel like this at this stage, but here I am. So I'm here because, yeah, sure, I'm doing a little work, but also because I love being here. And being here reminds me of why it's so important to fight all of that nonsense back home, because I can see what I'm fighting for here every day.
That's
do
right.
it with joy.
That's
joy.
Right. You can also be free here for real. It is the freedom that Jews have here, especially, unfortunately, the ones who born and grew up here sometimes take it for granted. So they need a lady from Long Island to come here and remind them what they're doing here, right? In that way. But the other question I got for you, which is interesting for a lot of Israelis these days, is to watch the development of the little country that's called Florida, who becomes the, sanctuary for New York and Jews right now. Isn't that so? Because I'm watching it and I'm like, I really don't like to criticize American Jews because they done so much for Israel in general, for the Jewish world. And it's not my place to judge at all, actually. I made my own decision, you make yours. Everybody's a grown-up person, makes his own decisions. But how do you look on the development of this new Jewish safe haven in America who calls Florida?
It is unbelievable to watch. And that's one example, the fact that Florida has become, in certain parts of Florida, not all of Florida, but certainly South Florida, has become a safe haven for Jews and Israelis, definitely. But even the idea that so many young Jews are choosing to go to universities in the South, that are foregoing all of maybe their great-grandparents' big dreams of Harvard and Yale and the Ivy League to go south, including my own children, by the way, because the South is so much, not just safer physically for Jewish students, but also intellectually safer, that you have the ability to be in places that can have, tough conversations and multiple perspectives can exist. And, there is a difference between a fact and a lie, and that, it is an unbelievable thing. Who would have thought that American Jewish kids in New York would say, Ivy League, no more, I want to go south? It would have been unheard of years ago. But I think it's because everyone is feeling like, I want to be in a place where A, I can be me and I can be respected, and also I don't have to fight every day of my life to exist on a college campus. And that's what so many American Jews are dealing with.
Yeah, I saw that on the media in the last 2.5 years since October 7, all the abuse, I would like to use that word again, all the abuse that American Jews and Israeli students, Jewish students generally experienced in America, which was very painful for me to watch as a proud Jew, that they inhale it and take it and go through that. And for me, pride and national self-honor are the most important thing, self-respect. For me, I would just, go to study in Israel. and I know this makes it a little bit difficult because your children are now in Florida, right?
No. my 21-year-old is currently in Israel, for living in Israel for his 5th summer in a row. He's lived here every summer since the age of 17. He's spent more nights in Israel than he has in our apartment since he graduated from high school.
Well, that's a big mazel tov, and big mazel tov for you. I like to say mazel tov in a Long Island accent.
It's a tough one, I know.
It is a tough one, but you know, I'm really kind of trying to understand, because we do, it went really quickly, this conversation. We do coming to an end, unfortunately. I'm trying to understand what will take and make bringing all the American Jews to live in Israel. Or this is a science fiction conversation, I'm not sure.
Well,
I don't think so, by the way. I think we're going to see that in the next coming years.
I think we are going to see a wave, an exodus in some way in the States. But the question I'm always asked, and believe me, I have this question, get asked this question in my own home, because every time I say I want to be here, someone says, but what happens if all the people like you leave? What happens if everyone stops fighting? And it's a good question. I mean, for me, I feel like I want to be in a place where I'm not constantly the other, where I have the fuel and energy, right, to fight another day. But I do understand the question, and I think we need both. But I would posit this first. The first thing we do before all American Jews make Aliyah is we have to just get them to Israel. We have a major problem right now with diaspora Jews just not even experiencing Israel, or only experiencing it at, B'nai Mitzvah, but not really understanding or experiencing Israel in her cultural, historical beauty. Yeah. And we need to do that first, and then we can talk about the rest.
He said, unfortunately, we came to an end, so I got so much to talk to you, but just last sentence, what do you do these days in America? You have a new show? What's going on?
When most of my media life died, when the public Zionist came out.
So they really canceled you out, huh?
Well, I would say there are a lot of spaces that don't necessarily love me these days, but listen, I want to say I'm okay with it, because there's nothing that makes me more proud than being bold about who I am.
Absolutely.
But I have a show on Izzy, which is the Israeli streaming content platform, called The Sexy Side of Zionism.
Well, I think with that, we can say goodbye. I would like to see you and the rest of the family move into Israel permanently. We need you guys over here. And I'm sure there's a room for you in television, replacing Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
I'm ready.
We need it. So, Dr. Logan Levkov, thank you so much for coming. I wish you a lot of success, and תודה רבה. Well, this came to an end. I would like to invite you to join our channel, watch this program, join under the player. I am Oded Nir. Thank you so much, and goodbye.